Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. I hope y'all are having a great Thursday. I know it's been a mighty hot one. I hope wherever you are at, you got a little bit of rain today. I know we did there around the house. Looking for a little relief where we can get it, that's for sure. But tonight we're going to be taking you guys along on a great trip, and it's going to be not only a night filled with action on as far as fishing goes, but it's going to be an informational night. And we've got a few great guests here with us tonight to share with us, a couple of special guests, and then we've got one returning guest, and our buddy J.R. Sweat's here on the end. Everybody knows J.R., but we got a couple fellas here in the middle with us, Dayton, that up and coming in the fishing world. But got Tucker Smalley, he's over here closest to JR, and Lee Spears is closest to Dayton. And Lee, we're sorry about that, but one of you had to get stuck there, and you're the one that got stuck there tonight. So you're over here by Dayton.
That's right, buddy. We'll handle it, won't we? That's right.
Yes, guys, let's talk. Now, both of you have been hunting and fishing for quite a while, to be your age. I've watched both of you do different things. Lee, I watched you. What kind of award was it that I saw you get earlier this year?
A state champion award.
State champion award. And what was that for?
A turkey calling thing.
Turkey calling contest at the NWTF State.
That's
up there
right.
when they had the rendezvous in Lebanon.
Yep.
And he came out of there with an award. And Tucker, you have done quite a bit already too. I know that I've got a deer hunt of yours that I've got filmed that's going to be airing on our show this year. And I've seen you on some turkey hunts, seen you on some fishing trips. But what is it that we're doing on tonight's show? What is it that you guys got to go do with Mr. JR for tonight's show?
We got to go striped bass fishing.
Striped bass.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in teaching and teaching our youth, because if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it.
That's exactly right.
And so I wanted to carry these guys white bass fishing. And to me, white bass fishing is you get you a drag, you go drag your crawfish. Anybody go to the store and buy the artificial baits and artificial lures and go out.
Yeah.
But I wanted these guys to know that if the store ever closes, that they have the opportunity to go get their bait. And that's what we did. We went and drug crawfish. Then we went and we set up our fishing poles, how I fish for them.
Yeah.
And then we went and found us a good rocky bottom ledge spot, and we sat back and enjoyed the day.
Well, now guys, what was it like catching those crawfish? Did either one of you ever get pinched or anything like that?
I got pinched once.
You got pinched once, did it hurt?
No,
It wasn't bad, was it?
Did y'all watch the colors they were? See what colors, if they had orange painters and different colors?
No, sir.
Always check that.
Yes, sir.
Tell him why.
Because they're all a little different. Some of them might not have quite as much orange on their painters, and they may be a little different colored green, which it wouldn't matter that much. Them white bass, they'll eat about anything.
But a smallmouth might be a little bit more particular, is what he's saying.
He's a little more picky.
Yeah, he's been eating a certain bait, and you might want to pay attention to what he's eating. But tell me this, where did you get these crawfish at? Tell me how y'all actually went and got them.
We went to the side of a road where there was some water.
Okay, and then, so once you found the water, about how deep was it? Was it real deep water, or was it shallow water?
Maybe
It was
about
shallow.
a foot.
Okay, then what did you do then?
We got a drag net and pulled the crawfish out.
Okay, so you just reach way out there and drag that net in and check and see if you have any.
We also caught a couple minnows.
Okay.
Right.
Did y'all use those minnows, or did you let them go?
JR told me to let them go.
Let them go.
Let them go.
Cut them loose and give them another day.
Crawdad day, wasn't it?
So, JR, tell me this, is there a particular size are you looking for the biggest one you can get, or are you looking for the smallest one you can get? What are you looking for when you're
I'm looking for a medium-sized crawfish. I'm looking for a crawfish that's probably 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I don't want a great big one, because that's not the preferred bait. The small ones, they're good too, but the preferred bait to me is about 1 inch or 1.5 inch size and length.
Now, and you're going to explain a little bit later about the rig that you like to use and the size hook and things like that, but is this something that you use year-round to fish for white bass, or are you using crawfish just a couple months out of the year, or is that something you'll continue through the season with?
Well, in the springtime,
As long as they're available in here.
right, the springtime, the crawfish are readily available. You know, it takes a certain temperature of water for the crawfish to start to come out. Once the water warms up enough and they get plentiful, they're usually good all the way through up until mid-April, somewhere around in there, end of April. And then the white bass are still there. The white bass are still plentiful.
Yeah.
You know, but it's harder to come by your crawfish.
Yeah.
In the area that we live in, it is not common to go by a road ditch that is known to produce crawfish, and there'll be 3 or 4 trucks sitting there all throughout the day.
Well, on the footage we saw some. I don't know if there will be any in what turned out, but there were several people that pulled up today that y'all were out there getting.
You know, and once the crawfish are depleted, or once they get sparse, then you can go to a little white grub or a orange grub or a chartreuse grub, a little 3/16 head or 1/8 ounce head, and you're just as you're not as productive,
right?
But you're still productive.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the crawfish when they're up, and you mentioned the rocky bottom, and that's where they're at. They're all that rocky bottom is full of those crawfish, and so it's hard to compete with that. But you can, like you say, catch them multiple other ways. I've caught them on chicken liver. Some people didn't believe me when I told them that when I was younger. I didn't mean to. We thought we was going to be catching catfish, but we learned you can catch hybrid that way.
A quick story. Years ago, we ran out of crawfish. We still had the 1 gallon can there with the crawfish juice in it. My son had a number 2, a green eraser on a pencil. He broke the eraser out, hooked it on his hook, and dipped it into the crawfish into the water. And he was catching just as many as anybody else.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
it had the taste and smell. That's what mattered, wasn't it?
It just had the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to getting out with you guys here on this next segment and following you along on your trip, seeing how it went. But right now, let's go over and do this week's wild game forecast. This week's wild game forecast is being sponsored by our friends over at Wilson Bank and Trust. Y'all can find them at one of 29 Middle Tennessee locations. Be sure to let them take care of all your banking and financial needs, and tell them thank you for all they do for us here at the show. All right, guys. Well, Dayton forecast still looking hot, but we've had a little rain. I mean, a little bit, and it's kind of, got some things going on. But you've had a pretty good few days doing a little fishing.
I mean, fish are biting. They're just not moving a lot of water. We need some more rain, of course. But everything's dry, from the food plots to your garden to any body of water, whether it be a pond, a creek, or a stream. It's just tough right now.
Yeah, it's a good time to put a camera up on a little watering hole or something right there, isn't it, JR? I mean, deer a lot of times get their moisture through plants and things. They don't have to go to a pond or anything like that in most cases. When it gets as dry as it has here lately, they'll start going to those little watering holes a lot more.
You're right.
So good time to be doing that too if y'all are working on your, August hunt. It will be here for it's going to sneak right up on us, but it's a good time to be paying attention to that. But night fishing for me, as far as fishing, is where it's been here lately. They've still been deep at night, but smallmouth and largemouth both been eating pretty good.
110 degrees.
And 20 plus foot of water. Yeah, they got to be 20 feet before they can get out of that
high noon. I know it ain't good.
I'm telling you. Well, guys, we want to remind you to follow us on Facebook. Keep up with us there. You can also find us at swwtv.com. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with this week's Pictures of the Week and some more Southern Woods and Waters.